Hello, hello. Welcome back to my humble abode. So, today we're going to talk about vegetables. And a lot of times when we bring up vegetables, people say, I don't really like vegetables. And I always wonder and ask, well, do you do anything to make them taste any better? Do you use spices, or do you combine them with other vegetables or other things that you like to eat and try to make them a little bit more flavorful? And a lot of times people just don't. They just don't do that, and they don't understand that vegetables can be really good. They can be tasty. And we have to go ahead and kind of teach ourselves or educate ourselves in how to use spices and mix different things with other things that palate well together and they taste well together. And so today I decided to go ahead and just go through some of my favorites. I really enjoy cooking. I have in the past years I've learned to cook, to make things myself and make them healthier. I used to eat a lot of microwave meals, and it took me down a path that I was really not happy with, and my doctor told me I needed to learn to eat better and to lose some weight. And I just want to be clear, sometimes it's not all about losing weight, it's just about being healthier. But we do need to eat some vegetables, and we do need to get a good broad spectrum of colors within what we eat, so we make sure that we get a good amount of phytonutrients, good amount of vitamins within our diet. So it's really important that we just try to eat the rainbow and get a good spectrum of colors. And so within that, I like to try to get a couple different colors in with each meal. And so I like to prep, like I do with other stuff, with my proteins, my carbs, and just having these things on hand is really useful. So here I have an Asian stir fry, and I use some broccoli, I use some celery, I use some carrots, and I also have some cauliflower in here. And it's a really good mix. I use some different spices in here. We won't go into all the spices because I use a lot of spices in each dish, and they're all different spices. And that's the reason why I brought them all out here, just to kind of give you an idea of what I usually have on hand. So I have things from oregano to turmeric and ginger, and I have a little cheat sheet, if you like, where you can get like a little profile of, you know, different parts of the world, how they pair things for like dishes and what they use in different regions of the world. There's a nice little cheat sheet I have, and it makes it easy to comprehend and understand, well, these things pair well. I didn't even think of that. And it's a great thing to just explore and to learn. It's a really important part of it is to learn what works well. I don't really use a lot of like cookbooks and ingredient lists now. I just go ahead and, you know, I have an idea of like, I want to have, you know, an Asian dish, or I want to have an Indian dish, or something Italian, and I just start throwing stuff in there, and a lot of times I hope for the best. But it does usually work out, and if it doesn't taste that good, then I will just keep messing with the spices and trying to get it to where I want it. And that's a big part of it, is to explore, and you'll learn as you practice how things work well together and what things might not work that great together. So that's the Asian dish. And then here I made a Greek dish. And so I got some red and yellow peppers, got some green zucchinis, and something I'm a really big fan of is trying new stuff. And I think it's important because a lot of times we get caught up in not trying new things. So I got a white eggplant in here, and I also got a graffiti, or like the lighter purple eggplant in here. And both of those I've never had before. And so I think it's important to try different things and give yourself that exploration. And I really enjoyed it. It was good. I also have some red onions, and I have some Kalamata olives. You have to have Kalamata olives if you're doing Greek. Definitely a big fan of those. And so that mixes well, and then you can have your protein on the side. You can put it right on top. I have some chicken cooking that is going to pair well with that later on. So this is a great thing to have. This is from yesterday's dinner, and we always like to make extra just so we have these veggies on hand. It's really helpful because then I don't have to think about what I'm going to do when I get hungry. I just have these things ready to go. And so we have some white onion, we have some Brussels sprouts in here, and then we have some portobello mushrooms. It gives us a good little spectrum of veggies there, and it's a good portion here. So what I like to think about within that is going to be like the fist portion sizes. We'll use our fist portions, this 1 and 2, and it matches pretty close to that, and then we can be pretty sure that we got a good amount for that meal. And since we're trying to eat about 1 to 2 fists per meal, then it's really helpful to have some of these things prepped, because it's quite a bit, but it's not a lot of calories, so there's a good benefit to that. Is we can eat a fair amount. If you like to eat like I do, then we can eat a fair amount of veggies, and it's going to help us fill up some, and it's also going to provide us those phytonutrients and the vitamins, and we're also going to get fiber, which we talked about that some, but we need these things for our digestive system. We need these things for our organism to function really well. And then I made this. This was something a little random, but I had a lot of carrots, and so I decided to make like a carrot puree, and I blended it up in the blender, and then I decided to cook it down. I put a little coconut cream in there, and then I put a cinnamon stick in with this and some cloves, and I cooked it down, and then I decided to cook it in with some radishes and some bok choy. I know it sounds kind of funky, but it turned out really well, and so I put some spices in there and spiced it up pretty well, and it turned out really good. And I know people oftentimes will say I'm a little crazy for the way I eat, and I totally get that. But I also think, like, well, what's crazier? Eating something that comes from nature, something that God gave us, or eating something that came from a laboratory that is synthesized and is known to cause people illnesses? What is crazier in reality? You can answer that one. So I always find it interesting, and I don't feel the need to defend myself on that, because I love the way I feel when I eat healthy, and when I eat like crap, I feel run down, I feel tired, and I just brain fog and don't feel like doing anything. And that is an issue, because I like to do stuff, and I want to go, and I want to be productive and feel good all the time. So to me, it's a no-brainer to eat these things that give me better energy. But for some people, it takes a little coaxing. 12 years ago, when I was at my heaviest point, I wouldn't have seen myself eating this. I totally get it. I totally get it. So I like little steps, small steps to get us there. And one of those steps could be just doing it in a smoothie. Starting off with that. With a smoothie is a great place, because this has everything in it. This is a full meal, really. I put a banana. I put some beets in here. I have some protein powder, some pea protein, and I also put some coconut cream in here for some fat. And so I have a full meal here. So it has everything I need in it. I also put some spring mix in there and get some greens. And it might look dark and red, but it actually is really tasty. I make this all the time. I love beets. They're great for our blood. They help us when we're running. I feel like it definitely helps, just feeling like performance-wise it's easier just to be out there cruising. Definitely has to do with like having the nutrition in your body, but beets are known to like help us with our blood flow and open up the arteries some, and so that's really great to have on your exercise belts, and in particular for running. I love to use that. And so I know not everybody is into like getting down with the cooking all like that. So the smoothie's a great option, but we also can do things that are also like useful. And to be honest, I use this, and it's a little bit of a cheat, but it's not really a terrible thing if you're having a hard time getting veggies in. Frozen veggies are good. So I got these. These are just picked and quickly frozen, and I think that's an important thing to just have on hand, because if you're not feeling like cutting up veggies and doing all the work, like you can throw something like this into the skillet and cook it up. You don't even have to put any oil on it. You can just cook it up, put some spices on it, and move on. And it's really quick. It's really easy. I think it's nice to have. Some people aren't as into frozen veggies, but I think frozen veggies are better than no veggies. And I also have these. These are steamed and peeled, ready to eat, hot or cold beets. And you can get these in the grocery store. We got these ones at Trader Joe's. And yeah, it's good to have them ready, right? Like, beets are a little bit of work, and I don't mind doing the work for it. But sometimes it's just like, everybody's busy. Everybody needs to be on the run and on the go all the time. And that's a whole other discussion about slowing down. But having things that are readily available and really easy to consume and get into your diet is really, really important. And, you know, that's part of the prep. Prep work is important, right? But having things that are going to make your prep work easier, having things that are there that are going to enable you to, if you don't have things prepped, be pretty quick and not have to spend a whole lot of time at it. And it's a practice. It takes practice. I've been doing this for many years now, and it's not something that happens overnight. It definitely is something that, you know, it takes a little while. And the very first thing I switched out when I first started getting into nutrition was just going to go from eating my microwave meal every lunch, which was easy. It took 1 minute and 30 seconds or 2 minutes, whatever. And you just slice it down the middle, put it in the microwave, and you have a meal. And I decided that had to go, and I started to just make salads. They weren't fancy salads. They were just quick, easy salads. But you know what? I was satisfied at the end, and I didn't feel sluggish in the second half of the day. So I was like, well, that's a good trade-off. So I got into it. That was the first thing. That was literally the first thing. And then from there, it was like, well, how can we progress with this? What can we do that would be more exciting than a salad? How can we mix things up? And I learned how to cook a little bit. And, you know, I was fortunate to work at a pizza shop outside of high school, and I worked underneath a really good chef. You know, I wasn't anything trained at all. I have no real training. But I learned some things from him, and I learned things from self-exploration, and just by studying, watching videos online, and just like learning about healthy ways to eat, doing things with cookbooks that are healthy, and just learning ways to cook. You know, it takes time, but that's the thing, is like, we can get to where we want to be over time way better than we can if we do like a crash diet and not enjoy it, right? And I read an interesting statistic a couple weeks back, and I seen it again recently, and it's just mind-boggling that 90% of people who lose weight end up gaining almost all of it back, if not all of it. And I think that's a shame. I think it's sad, really. I feel fortunate that I'm a part of the 10%, right? 1 out of 10 people that lose weight, I am that one that didn't end up gaining it back. And, you know, I did fluctuate back up, and then I learned, you know, that's not how we're going to do it by going back to our old ways. You have to move forward and learn new ways and be proactive within your own nutrition, because what people will oftentimes try to sell you is something quick, something that is not sustainable, or it's also going to be something that is just not healthy in general. And so we need to really be on it all the time, just trying to be a little bit better all the time. And so I hope this is encouraging. I hope this is giving you some different ideas of things that you can try. And I really hope that it's made you hungry to be healthy. So that's all I have for today. And I will see you again next week.